As a part of my work, I've helped countless new game developers by providing support for my Unity assets. Whether it's a full walkthrough or answering basic questions, this is something I do every day. What gets under my skin though is when someone goes beyond the original support request. Now, I don't mind helping people with their game even if it's not related to my assets, but sometimes the questions are so broad that there's no way I could answer them reasonably. Questions like, so what should I add next? What's missing in my game? How do I make my game fun? And so on. I always get the urge to just respond with, I don't know, am I the NPC handing out side quests here? But I need to be polite. I find it confusing because it's not my game, it's theirs. I've been trying to flip my brain upside down to try and understand where these people might be coming from. Beyond the obvious like being new to game development, I realize there's something else going on here. If you don't know what a video game really is, you won't know the next step to developing one. Usually I make Unity tutorials on this channel, but today I want to take a step back and answer a broader question. What is a video game anyway? And I'm aware we can all point to a video game when we see one. It's not like you need a manual just to recognize Pong or Fortnite. I'm not here to talk about the best dictionary definition for video games, nor will I go over the game development lifecycle because that's boring and no one cares. What I do want to talk about are the puzzle pieces that actually make up a game. The stuff that turns pixels and code into a masterpiece. But what are those puzzle pieces exactly? Well, one of them is right before your eyes. Before you even press a button, a game has to look like something. Whether it's the simplicity of Tetris blocks or the jaw-dropping vistas in Elden Ring, visuals are the first handshake between the game and the player. It's what immediately sets one game apart from another. They signal genre, mood, and identity before a single line of dialogue or tutorial is even introduced. A distinctive art style, whether it's the painterly look of Ori, the pixel charm of Celeste, or the stark minimalism of Limbo, can be the key to making a game memorable and successful. But it's not just about pretty graphics, it's how those visuals communicate, teaching you where to go, what's dangerous, and what's rewarding. Think of the glowing weak spot on a boss, or the way a cozy village feels safe just by its warm lighting. The art is gameplay's silent partner, whispering instructions without a single tutorial box. And I want to emphasize this. Visuals aren't just about beauty. They're about capturing a style that perfectly matches the story you're trying to tell and the emotions you want the player to experience. When visuals are done right, they actively shape the rest of the game. They highlight critical pathways and make mechanics easier to understand. A clever camera angle can create tension, and well-placed foliage can quietly tell you where to go next without a single on-screen prompt, altogether influencing the player's perspective, which leads us to the next puzzle piece. Perspective hands the player a sense of control. Even the idle stance matters. The character might rock forward, eyes bright like they can't wait to move. It's as if the game itself is nudging you, ready when you are. That small touch makes the player understand that they are the pilot of the ship. In a first-person game, perspective can completely change how the player experiences tension. The camera is the player's eyes. So every shadow, every creak of the floor, every enemy around the corner feels personal. Unlike a platformer where you can clearly see the character as a separate entity, first-person perspective puts you in the character's shoes. Every heartbeat, every step, every scare is yours. Perspective is about how the player sees and experiences the world you've built. Even subtle choices, like a slight tilt or zoom at the right moment, can guide attention, hint at secrets, or make combat feel more dynamic. Get perspective wrong, and the player feels lost or frustrated. Get it right, and they feel like the camera is reading their mind. It's the invisible hand that shapes how every action, every discovery, and every emotional beat lands. No matter how empowered a player feels through perspective, it all falls apart if the game's interaction isn't solid. Input is how the player communicates with the game world, through buttons, sticks, touchscreens, or motion sensors. It's not just about pressing jump or shoot, it's about making the player feel like their actions matter. Responsive and intuitive controls turns intentions into outcomes instantly, while clunky or delayed controls turn a masterpiece into a source of frustration.
About my life at this point. I'm questioning absolutely everything. Oh no! Oh no! 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 Oh God! No! 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 No!
Good input design lets the player feel powerful, nimble, or vulnerable, whatever your game intends. It's the bridge between the player's brain and the game's world, translating thought into action seamlessly. Without it, the world you've built becomes nothing more than a static diorama. Think of how your character moves slower in Cyberpunk when you're carrying too many items, or how your stamina drains every time you dash. These mechanics aren't just about realism, they're about immersion. They make you feel the weight of your decisions, as if the game is saying, well, if it isn't the consequences of your own actions. When input is responsive and meaningful, every move, every attack, every dodge carries significance. Without this, the game world feels flat, and the player's agency diminishes. Great controls, visuals, and perspective make the player feel connected to the world. But that alone isn't enough to make the world come alive. Imagine pressing a button and hearing nothing. No footsteps, no clash of swords, no ambient buzz of life around you. Even with perfect controls, the experience would feel hollow, like wandering a beautifully lit stage after the orchestra walked out. And that's where sound comes into play. Sound is the atmosphere you can't see but instantly feel. It's the crunch of gravel underfoot, the distant howl of a creature you haven't met yet, the swelling music right before a boss fight. Good sound design doesn't just accompany the action, it directs it. A subtle audio cue can guide you toward a hidden path or warn you of danger before you even spot it on screen. Sound shapes emotion and builds tension. When done right, it turns pixels into a living, breathing world. Music in particular is the heartbeat of the game's world. Think of how the Zelda overworld theme instantly signals adventure. Dynamic scores that swell when enemies appear or fade to a gentle melody after battle don't just fill silence. They pace your emotions, turning exploration into wonder and combat into adrenaline. Even a simple 3-note sting when you solve a puzzle can feel like a high five from the composer. Great game music doesn't merely play in the background. It sets the tempo for your choices, nudges you forward when you hesitate, and lingers in your head long after you've already put down the controller. But while the controller is up, there are certain rules that you must follow.
Suicide of the older generation. Keep you up at night, yeah. Make all the
Mechanics are the invisible scaffolding that holds the game together. The rules that define what players can and cannot do. They turn a world of visuals, sound, and perspective into something playable. Without mechanics, a game is just a pretty, noisy sandbox with no purpose. Think about jumping in a platformer, aiming in a shooter, or crafting in a survival game. These actions feel intuitive because the mechanics are consistent and predictable, yet they also allow for creativity and experimentation. Mechanics create challenge, opportunity, and strategy. They are what make victories feel earned and failures feel like lessons instead of frustration. They also give the player a sense of mastery. Repeating a mechanic over time, like chaining jumps, perfecting combos, or building efficient structures, allows the player to feel progress and skill growth. And the beauty of mechanics is how they layer together. Combine crafting with exploration, puzzles with environmental hazards, movement with combat, and suddenly, a few simple rules create an unforgettable memory.
Justin's turtle style. Overcome Rao. Now on the verge of putting Daigo down. 1-0. Justin!
But even the best mechanics are meaningless without a purpose, a reason to engage with them in the first place. And that's where the next puzzle piece comes in.
Retribution! Oh yeah, we want retribution! Oh yeah, we want retribution! Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with the cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration. Feet in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grab and then take it.
Mechanics give the player tools, but goals give them a reason to use them. Without goals or objectives, a game is just fun for a few minutes, but it'll quickly get boring and forgettable. Goals are what drive exploration, experimentation, and ultimately satisfaction. Goals can be big or small. A platformer might ask you to reach the end of the level. An RPG might task you with defeating a dragon. A puzzle game challenges you to figure out the correct sequence. Some goals are obvious, like scoring points or finishing quests. Others are subtle, like discovering a secret path or unlocking an achievement. Well-designed goals make choices feel meaningful and give the player a sense of accomplishment. Whether it's a small victory like completing a tricky level, or a big one like competing in a major esports tournament with thousands of spectators and massive prize money on the line. These high-stake goals hit the big stage, turning skill and strategy into real-world recognition, and giving players that rush of adrenaline that only competition at the highest level can deliver.
I'm like, even though I only have a mat on the floor, I think he's in the bed. Oh, Faker maybe in trouble here. Deathmark tries to clean it up for Ryu. Oh, look at the cleanse, look at the moves. Faker, what was that? Faker with a huge play, the QSS. I can't believe I just saw that. He actually won that duel.
And that's what video games are. What to focus on, what to tackle next, what makes a game truly fun. Hopefully, this video helps answer some of those questions. At the end of the day, it's really about one thing: deciding what you want to do next. What will shape your game into the memorable experience that first inspired you to create it? So if you're a developer or someone looking to get started, I hope this helps clear the fog and gives you a clearer path to follow when working on your own game. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you think I missed something, let me know in the comments down below. Also, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. My name is Esper, and that's all from me for now.